My name is Norbert Simons. I'm the Director of the Department of Youth, Sport and Recreation. I'm glad all of you athletes are here today because we're about to honor track and field's most famed athlete for all of his accomplishments he's done over the years in track and field. I'm not going to get into all the details right now, but Brian and I go all the way back, and I'm going to say this is Brian Wellman. I'm not going to steal anybody's thunder, so I'm just going to ask our minister responsible for sport in Bermuda, the Honorable Levita Fogo, Minister of Community Affairs and Sport, to come across and say a few remarks before we get into our ceremony.
Good day, especially to our young athletes. You are going to be looking at a Bermudian celebrity, someone who's played on the world stage, like the Olympics and Pan Am Games, and many of you aspire to be that athlete one day. And so you're in for a great treat. How many of you know Mr. Brian Wellman? Hands up. Mr. Wellman, you must be really getting old, you know? But Brian Wellman was a household name. He was. Brian Wellman is Bermuda's most decorated track and field athlete. In 1995, at the World Indoor Championships in Barcelona, Spain, Brian established a world indoor record in the triple jump when he leaped to 17.71 meters and in the process won the gold medal. You don't get better than the gold medal. Hello, guys. How many of you do triple jump? Triple jump. Okay, there you go. Brian attended the University of Arkansas, where he won 2 NCAA outdoor triple jump titles. He also represented Bermuda, like I said, in the Olympics, the World Championships, Commonwealth Games, Pan Am Games, and the CAC Championships. And what I forgot to mention is that Brian's personal best outdoors was 7.62 meters. Both of these jumps are Bermuda records. And I know as young athletes, your aim is to be the best in your sport, whether that's running, whether that's long jump, triple jump, high jump, hurdles, if we do hurdles in Bermuda. But you know what? You are looking at a Bermudian hero. Mr. Wellman, please stand up because many of them don't have any idea who you are. A Bermudian champion. And any of you who think that you can't get there, stand up, Mr. Wellman. Come on now. He is a shining example with the right type of effort, with commitment, with dedication, and with heart and the desire to be the best. You can be just like him and even better. Okay? One of Bermuda's, I guess, best athletes, a world-renowned athlete. People know Brian Wellman all over the world, you know. His name is known by many other athletes. So he is not just someone who's here in Bermuda and only Bermudians know about him. Many of the people he competed against and beat up in the world of sports, they have nothing but respect for his abilities. You're looking at a world-class athlete, and it is a big deal. He is a big deal. And that's why the Department of Youth, Sport and Recreation, under the leadership of Mr. Norbert Simons, wanted to pay tribute to our Bermudian hero when it comes to the world of sports, Mr. Brian Wellman. And it's a tribute that maybe he should have gotten many years ago. But nonetheless, Mr. Wellman, you deserve what you are having done here for you today. You are a Bermudian hero, and we love you, and we honor you. And thank you.
Before we get on with the ceremony, I'd like to have a few words from the president of the BNNA. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I know you know how to respond. You're a track athlete. You know how to deal with situations.
That's right. You're working it.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I just want to tell some stories. Brian and I traveled together for years and years and years. And one story will always stand out in my mind with Brian. We went to this track meet. We traveled all day, probably half the night. We got into our hotel probably around 1 o'clock in the morning. During that time, if anybody knows, and maybe this is one of Brian's secrets why he's so great, Brian loves chocolates. We would get on the plane, Brian would have a bag full of chocolate bars. And he'll never say, Donald, would you want a piece? Brian would eat every chocolate right in front of me. But I guess that was his superpower. So we get in the hotel about 2 o'clock in the morning. We get in, go to our rooms, sleeping, good sleep, because we had to compete that evening around 5 o'clock. Brian knocks on my door, 6 o'clock in the morning. Donna, what are we going to do today? I'm like, Brian, it's 6 o'clock. We got in at 2 o'clock. That's the type of energy Brian always had. Brian never had no energy. He was always a ball of energy. When he was on the field getting ready to jump, if you ever watch one of his videos, you'll see Brian got the crowd into it. Brian had his routine before he jumped. He had everybody excited. When he jumped, everybody was up, especially when he broke that world record. Everybody was up in the stands. Brian was a fantastic athlete. He still is a fantastic person. And I am so happy and excited that they are honoring Brian today. As I said, Brian and I started out, we traveled years and years and years together, several meets we traveled. And I always saw Brian give it 100%. And that's one thing for all you young athletes. Give 100%. Just because you've come from this little island of Bermuda, that does not mean you cannot be the best in the world. We have one of the best in the world with Brian. And I hope after today, when you all see Brian, you remember who he is, you go up to him and you introduce yourself to him and you ask Brian, what was your secret? And I could tell you one of his secrets was dedication. He was also very, very committed, and he was very passionate about the sport of track and field. Brian would give you statistics on every single thing track and field, and not just triple jump. He'll tell you about 100-meter runners. He'll tell you about 800-meter runners. He was a technician. So that's one lesson that you all need to learn. If you want to be in this sport or any sport, know your sport. Know the athletes who you're competing against, especially when you get ready to go into competition. Do your research. And that was Brian Wellman, a great technician, a great athlete. And Brian, I enjoyed every minute of our travel together. We have many, many stories that will live on with me forever. Congratulations, Brian.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I'd like Mr. Wellman come down, but as he's walking down, I want to take this opportunity to thank the National Sports Center. It's the entire staff, the executive of the National Sports Center for making this happen.
Let everybody see who
Yeah,
you are.
okay. And in a few minutes you'll understand why I'm doing this, because we talked about this, and Mr. James Pace really made this happen. Okay, and I'm talking about this structure here, because you remember it used to be a fence, right? Part of the fence. Because we talked about this, and it's been up a little while, because we wanted to do this during Carifta, but COVID did not allow this to happen. But it is important that we do this for Mr. Brian Wellman. But before he has a few words, I'd like for this to be unveiled, Mr. Wellman and the minister on this side, please. The scissors are right there, and I just want you to cut this down. Cut it down the middle. Mr. Wellman, as you see, there's not a whole lot of things that we could do in this country, but we need to acknowledge you for what you've accomplished. We've decided, as the minister with her blessings and the National Sports Center blessings, to name the horizontal runway after you. Okay? This one. And there's one other thing as well, sir. I'm just going to ask you to take center stage with the minister. Okay? Yeah. Okay?
Like all of our Bermudian sporting heroes, especially those who secure a gold medal. And this gentleman is so humble. You know, he competed time and time again and was always up there in the top rankings. You are being presented with a check for $10,000. Yes. A little late, but well deserved. Thank you for being a Bermudian hero. Thank you for being an example of excellence, Bermudian excellence. On Community Corner, we are going to have you there to speak about what it is to be an excellent athlete and to speak to Bermudian excellence. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wellman.
Wow. Wow. So, good afternoon, all. A lot of people here I got to thank. Obviously, start my parents. Obviously, got me here to begin from the get-go. I see other people who have, you know, very important contributing to this award also. Mr. Simon's over there. I guess most of all the best athletes that ever went through this country in track and field have been coached by Mr. Simon at some point, and I was no different. So I started there, and great foundation. I think most of you obviously in the same place I was, you know, a few years ago, and you know, it just shows that it's possible. No matter where you're from, you put in the time, the dedication, and you know, I was like Miss Randa was saying, I'm a sports junkie. So I love to know the statistics or information about what you do. So the more into your event or your sport you are, the better athlete you can become, because you know what makes a great athlete and where you are relative to the greatness of the people you're chasing. And so I think this is not just about me or for me. I think it's just an inspiration for a lot of the youth I see right here, that you know that somebody's been in your shoes, that has made it from a little, as one of my former jumpers, I actually helped coach Justin Donovan. He calls it Bermuda a pebble because it's that small. But being from Bermuda, that doesn't limit you from not being the best in the world. So all of you, if you put in the time, effort, dedication, every last one of you could be world champs or Olympic champs or world record holders. So I just hope to inspire some of you to do, you know, walk in my footsteps, or actually do better, you know, because I never won an Olympic gold. So hopefully I see a few Olympic gold medalists around here. actually one in a baby stroller over there. She's 10, 6, and 754 is what I was told she's gonna run in the future. So, but that's the other part of it. You got to dream big, believe that you can achieve it, and it'll happen. So anyway, I greatly appreciate this honor. Like I said, a lot of hard work and dedication, as you all know. A lot of the work takes place behind closed doors or on tracks and beaches and all that kind of stuff. But just stick to it, put the work in, and you could achieve anything. I greatly appreciate this from the minister. And Mr. Simons, thank you for your hard work, for being persistent to, I know, your hand in making this happen, and everybody else who had the hand in making this possible. I thank you all, and I greatly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Evans. Yes, please, for our Bermudian sports hero, Brian Wellman, an example of Bermudian excellence. Brian, I was always told a story that when you were in the 1992 Olympics, and I think you placed fifth? Was that the same year that you broke your back?
Correct.
So can you imagine coming from a back injury? He broke his back, yet he still competed in the Olympics, and he placed fifth in the world. Millions and millions and millions and millions of people, and guess who was fifth in the world? And I dare say, perhaps had you not broken your back, he would have taken that gold. Because you are a gold medalist and you're a Bermudian star. And there are some other athletes here today. I just want our young people to know who you are. Stand up, and some of you are already standing. Come on. Yes, you're standing. Donna, thank you. Yes. Excuse me, Mrs. Evans, stand up. Yeah, stand up. These are some Bermudian athletes, whether you knew it or not, and they were Michael Watson, they were shining stars, okay? And they are here to pay tribute to Brian Wellman as well, because they know the dedication and hard work it takes to be the very best in the world, and he was the best in the world. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all for coming. There are some refreshments, but I want you to know that what's on this side is also on the opposite side. So if you want to go have a look, and we're hoping that it would inspire one of you young athletes to surpass what Brian did.
Yes.
Okay, I just, and so it's time that we recognize the accomplishments of our people. And so this is just the first of many to come. Thank you.